Alright, how you all doing? I have a question. How exactly do people manage to live the tiny house lifestyle, the tiny home lifestyle? How do they survive? How do they raise a family? How do they keep a relationship going? Like, how do they do it? Because I don't understand it. I really, really don't understand it. Kind of ties, this is going to tie into yesterday's video. And the day before, and the day before, and however long it's been, 5 days. Right? I work from home, and I have a very, very, very small workspace. This is a very, very, very small house with a lot of stuff in it. This is not minimal living at all. It's not tiny house living. This is a not 2.5 bed house, 2.5 because you've got like a what is effectively a cupboard room coming off of another room. It would have probably been a bathroom at some point that someone's converted into a bedroom. Right, really rinky-dink tiny house, and there's me and 3 other people living here. Me, partner, 2 children, and a doggo. Right, and you could barely swing a cat. You couldn't swing a cat in this house. It's crazy, and I occupy 4 by maybe 5 by 4, 4 by 3 ish, a small section of the living room. I used to have it set up in a garage at the end of the garden, but we scrapped that for reasons. It's irresponsible, really, which is another story in itself. But I had to be in the house. I said in yesterday's video how it's really hard to do anything without kind of getting interrupted. Right? Well, I mean that was done for a purpose, because you have to be available when certain things are going on. You know, let's say you've got small children running around the house. You have to be around just in case they need anything or if anything happens. You have to be mindful of your children. Responsibilities. Right? But I don't understand how people can live the tiny house lifestyle and not file for divorce within the first 15 minutes. Because every time I've had an office spacey kind of thing of my own, it's been taken away from me for one reason or another. So it's gotten to the point where I lose sleep over it, because to do things when I'm not in people's way, I either work or I don't sleep. My little 5 foot by or 4 foot by corner, I entertain myself in that corner. So I watch films in that corner, I listen to music in that corner, I play games in that corner. It's got my PC, a couple of consoles. You know, my bass guitar used to live down there. My 6-string guitar used to live down there. My camera equipment used to live under the desk. VR equipment used to live under and around that desk, and it bleeds into the floor of the living room. I mean, right, I just mentioned VR. My space, even if I were to walk into the middle of the living room, is too small to qualify for the smallest play area in VR. So Oculus VR and Steam VR say, nah mate, area's too small. I think Oculus even goes as far as to say, or was it one of them, either Steam or Oculus basically said to me, you basically have to agree that your play space is so small, someone's going to get hurt. I'm like, okay, look, this is really too small for room scale VR. The only way I can do VR is stationary VR, so it basically draws a circle on the floor around where you are currently standing, and that gives you basically enough room to kind of move your arms about. But if you step in any direction, the guardian will come up and say, whoa, 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 you're about to hit something, because you will hit something. You'll kick something or punch something. No room to swing a cat. As I say, every time I've had a space, it's been taken away. At one point, the living room used to be a bedroom. We ended up turning what is the bedroom. It used to be a bedroom, then it got turned into an office, and now it's a bedroom again. We used to sleep downstairs, now back upstairs. office used to be upstairs, and I got, not officially, mind you, noise complaint from neighbours, and so my office became a not office, it became a bedroom again. That said, I've had noise complaints pretty much from every room of the house, including here, which is kind of funny really, because I live next to some of the noisiest people I've ever lived next to. It's not that big of a deal, but it bugs me, because every single time I try and do something, I'm always now trying to be conscious of not getting in people's way, and I always feel like I'm in someone's way. Always. As I said, it's small. My stuff bleeds out onto the floor. I can literally reach down onto the floor, as you saw the other day in, what was it, the video a couple of days ago when I was talking about the iPhone. It was literally a couple of days ago, weren't it? And I reached down to the floor and I managed to grab like 3 different cameras. And I could have probably reached for my VR headset at that point. I could have grabbed I did grab a couple of microphones. I could have grabbed some tripods and lights and all that kind of stuff. It's messy, but it's the only space I've got. And I know where everything is, or I knew where everything was. I was just thinking about a time when my in-laws, I don't imagine they were particularly pleased with the idea, but my 2 boys have Nintendo Switches, and my youngest son can't seem to not lose things. Like, he'd often take things to his grandma's and they'd get lost, and so in the end I put in a ban. I was like, dude, you are not taking your DS's, your Switch, whatever to your grandma's, because you always lose things and they're never found again. Like, I reckon if you walked into grandma's house, there's probably enough of his stuff dotted about that you could tile the damn floor in game cartridges, right? So, because like, we often have to buy him, like, rebuy games for like Christmas and birthday, stuff that he's lost at his grandma's house. So I put in this ban, and his grandma's had to go out and buy other switches for their house, so they've got a switch there and a switch here. Spoilt, I know. It's my fault. And I said, look, this is the thing. Like, we put things down so we can find them, and then you don't move them. You haven't put them anywhere, and then out of nowhere they're gone. That sounds really silly, right? But then imagine my horror. The reason for this video is the horror. I come home and bless her, the partner, the wife, is cleaning up my space in the middle room. And I have no damned idea where anything is. Tucked under the desk, put on shelves somewhere, put in cupboards. Bless her, she was trying to find the batteries for the camera that I'm using now. But I'd already looked everywhere that she'd looked. And I ended up so frustrated. I was like, please, just leave it all alone. I know it's in the way, but if anything gets damaged, lost or broken when I've put it somewhere, that's my fault. I'll get frustrated with myself, not with her and the kids. And I was like, how do people live in tiny homes? How do they do it? It must be so damned stressful. It must be infuriating. But every time my stuff gets moved about, even, it's nice, it's clean there now. I just can't find anything. Every time my stuff gets moved about, I don't feel welcome. I feel like I'm in the way. And as I said, I purposely go out of my way to do things these days where I'm like, if everyone's asleep, well, now I've got time to do things without getting in people's way. I can now record audio. I can edit some audio. I can snap some photos and set up some lights and stuff without getting in people's way in that, because my God, some of my lights are huge. I envy Americans. Like, how anyone can do tiny living? No idea. How an American can do tiny living? I don't know. One of my lights would comfortably, when opened up, it's a big old octagonal softbox, would easily take up a large chunk of this room. The stand alone would take up I've got, like, that is where I'm sat. So from my elbow, so I'll I'm elbowing stuff here, and there's a tumble dryer here. Like this is the other. Like this is basically my office space, but this space is being used too, for other stuff. This is a studio space, not for me. The stand alone would take up the remainder of this space, so I wouldn't be able to work. It's so infuriating. I'd need an American house. I'd need a mansion, man. I'd need a mansion to be able to not pull out my hair. Oh wait, I did. I envy people who have their own spaces in their own homes to do what they like. I do love having a shared space though, because I get to share my projects with my family, but by the same token it's just so... it can be so frustrating as well as rewarding. When the little ones are off school, I've got nowhere to go to think. If you want to do anything in my house, you have to go through what is effectively my office, or the bit next to my office. There's no corridor or anything, like an actual corridor. It's just literally door into a room. There's a door on the exact opposite side, and I'm on the far corner of that room with the doors on it. How do people do it? Please explain to me how they do it, other than throw everything that they own out. I find the idea of it's great. Like minimize everything, minimize the space you need to use. But I often hear of these people who have got like families and stuff, and I live in a house, a full-on house, and I can barely stand living here. There's always something going on. There's never any quiet. And I am not a chaos kind of guy. I thrive on chaos in the workplace, but I don't... my workplace is my home too. So there is no break at the moment. You know? Like if you say to me, oh yeah mate, we're going to go do blah 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 in XYZ place. The chaos of things potentially going wrong and having to solve problems there, fantastic. In my own home, not so much. That's why the one of the new sayings is... It's become, there's always goddamn something. There's always goddamn something. Mental. The trouble is, if it was a case of, you know, someone's going to say, well, why can't you use this space? It's used, and I've had complaints from working out here too. Noise complaints from working out here. I've had noise complaints from working in the garage. I've had noise complaints working upstairs, and I've had noise complaints from working in the middle of the house too. But if you're recording audio or working on audio, whatever it is you may be doing, you have to be careful what is captured if you are capturing audio. So we'll just use that as an example, because it's not always capture, but if it is, if someone's kicking off nearby, I can't record that. If someone's watching TV and that's bleeding into the microphone, so the TV's right next to my workspace, can't record that. Just, oh, how do people do it? If you've got an apartment that you use for yourself, I can imagine you're doing it all right, and look, your neighbours occasionally kick off fine, but geez, how do you deal with a house full of people, or an apartment full of people? How do you do it? Does anyone have any advice? That's what this video is. Please help me. Or share your horror stories of living in an environment that is full of people. Don't get me wrong, I've kind of complained like for 2 hours, however long this video is. 15 minutes. I've complained for 15 minutes. But it's not bad. This is a nice house, you know, in a nice area. But how do you get things done? How do you get things done? Does everyone have their own space? Like, is there a room in your house you can go to get things done, or are there other, you know, how many people are like me that just kind of sit there literally going bald with stress because because you have to work around everyone. I get it, it's a give and take situation, but every time I take, I feel incredibly selfish. And I said that 2022 was going to be a year where I became more selfish so I could get stuff done. But right now, just doing this, I feel incredibly selfish, and I'm complaining about such trivial things. As I said the other day, it's this kind of thing that just makes me not want to do things. If I think that something's going to become too much of a pain, I'd rather not do it. Somehow I managed to do videos every day, video stuff, for over 9 years. Video and audio work for over 9 years. every day. And before that, I was doing it from, when did I start doing it? When did I start doing that kind of stuff? 2004? Like, semi-regularly, and then 2011 it became a daily thing. No, it must have been way before 2004. I don't know. There's been a fair while. There a time to my story of audio-video bliss. And I'm terrible at it. What is it like to have your own space? Have an office? Please tell me. I hope you're well. I love my family. And I love every opportunity they give me. Because they do. They don't have to. But do not sacrifice sleep to get things done. Don't sacrifice food to get things done. That was actually going to be what this video was. Speaking to a few friends today and a few colleagues, and the number of us that just give up sleep to work is ridiculous. Or give up sleep to get things done. Absolutely ridiculous. So I hope you're well. I'll see you all in the next one, maybe. And if people keep moving my stuff and it gets broken or lost, I lose my temper at them for getting broken or lost. But I shouldn't do. I should be thankful that they're willing to help. Fucking hell. See ya.